So, new information for the new Forza Motorsport has come out. They've kind of finalized what maps are going to be coming out initially, but they've said a lot will be added later on. I think some people said free. I hope they add like a lot of new tracks, or at least tracks that we're familiar with, for free, and they're not bundled into a car pack or anything like that. Because while looking at direct comparisons that YouTubers have made with graphics and the way the game runs and stuff like that do look promising, and there's obviously complaints with the upgrading system and how the story progression works, I am very saddened that especially tracks that are on the IMSA schedule, which they're pushing the new Cadillac, obviously, and that's in WEC and in IMSA, but it's more of a IMSA kind of push for focus and content. But seeing that we're missing Long Beach, and we're missing Daytona, and we're missing Sebring, and we're missing all these American tracks that have been with the past 3 motorsport games, especially with their heavy presence with endurance racing and GT racing, it's kind of confusing me. Now, the only thing I can think of is that they're not ready yet, and that whatever is the new system that they're working with, they spent their time working on these other tracks, the new fantasy tracks, and some of the other new tracks that are coming to the game, and then the ones that have already been in the past games are going to be rolled out later. Hopefully not too later, maybe a month-ish, definitely by the end of the year, hopefully. Because again, those are tracks those are some of the first things that I play on, because I'm so used to them, and I go to them, and I work at those tracks, and I see my favorite, GT cars specifically racing there for the 12-hour, for the 24-hour, all these other tracks. And seeing the track list is upsetting a little bit. Now I know how it feels when people are hard pressed on certain things, not just the Nordschleife. Everyone wants the full Nordschleife, and everyone wants maps that were in Forza 4, but that's the only thing I can think of, is that they're just not ready yet, and they're going to wait until they're good, and then they're going to probably release them hopefully at the same time, if not staggered without too much time gap, especially before the 2024 IMSA season and WEC season starts up again. But it hits a little bit. Now I have Game Pass, so I can install the game day one, but the idea of possibly having paid for the game with those tracks kind of missing, at least on the start off, is a little concerning. I've also seen a ton of comments with regards to the fact that they've showed us a lot of cars, but they're cars that we've already had in Horizon and Motorsport, and we don't see a lot of new cars that you'd see in other racing games when they release a new version. So there's concern. There's always been concern. Obviously, I thought most of the concern was going to come from the graphics and the physics. It seems like the physics are more finely tuned, but still Forza, as described by some YouTubers. And the graphics, you really tell it in the comparison between Forza 7 and the new one. So you can tell it's definitely better. And being able to have weather progression and all these other physics engine adjustments is good and very cool. But there is some elements that are going to be unfamiliar, and elements that are missing, similar to Forza 4 to Forza 5, the big jump between less tracks and different tracks, but tracks that are not beloved by the fans. So, will I enjoy the new Speedway more than Daytona, or more than Long Beach, or any of the other tracks? Probably not. I mean, they have Indy, they have Indianapolis, they have Road America and Mid-Ohio. I don't know if I really care about Mid-Ohio, to be honest. I've been there. It seems like an okay track, but it's nothing that I would put high up on the tier compared to some of the others that are missing. But again, if it is a situation where they're just not ready with it because they spent their time on these other tracks, it's sort of understandable. It's not forgivable by a lot of people. I'm not a hardcore Forza fan. I've bought every single game, but as far as the upgrading and the tuning and stuff like that, that is not something that I ever delved into, because I either never had the time or the knowledge, and I wasn't necessarily a car person. I was a racing person. But I'm curious to see what everyone's going to say, and what everyone is saying right now, especially now that we have, would you call it a demo? The first few races that some YouTubers have been able to play and show off everything. Everyone seems to have resounding opinions, like in agreement with the concerns and issues. I guess we'll see what happens after launch with regards to if they do make major changes, or if they try to commit to how the system is going to play out, and whether people warm up to the system or whether everyone rejects it still, like it just doesn't work. It'll be interesting to see. I think I'll enjoy the game, but it will feel definitely a bit empty without some of these beloved, fun, beautiful tracks that I've come to not only love in-game, but love in real life. I hope it isn't too big of a gap for them to be released.